The pyramids of Giza. Now there are three big ones. There is Cheops, Chephren and Mycenos. And Giza, that is in Egypt, in northern Africa. Now they were built 4,600, 4,700 years ago. And these are basically the very big tombs or burial sites of pharaohs, of Cheops, Chephren and Mycenos. Now, the rocks, the stones, came from the Mokattam hills. They were quarried out of the stones, then brought in and then constructed there. They had no pulleys, so they were bringing them with ramps up properly. 100,000 people is an estimation how many people worked there. 4,000 at the construction site, 69,000 when the rest doing the quarrying and over the sledge and bringing all the stones there. There's also the Sphinx. The Sphinx is guarding the causeway to the Chephren, the middle pyramid. The Sphinx that is a lion with a human head, one of Chephren. The head of Chephren is it. And now what is there is? They have different sizes. The Cheops is the biggest one, 150 meters. The Chephren 140 meters, and the smallest one, Mycenos, 70 meters. But they have the three ones of his wives in front of him, the smaller ones also. Now the Cheops, it has 50,000 square the ground. There's a 230 meters, 230 meters, 230 meters. And now the smallest one, the Mycenos, has just a tenth of the limestones used for the other one. They had limestone facing, all three, just the middle one, the Chephren, has it still at the top. The Mycenos, they had also pink granite. The Cheops has granite in the center, and it's the burial chamber, and the granite sarcophagus for Cheops himself. At the south side, there is a chamber discovered in 1954 of Cheops, where his funeral worship was untouched since 4,600 years ago. Now his burial chamber. You go into the pyramid, down, there leads a staircase down into to an uncompleted burial chamber. 20 meters in, there goes a staircase upwards, when you go up. And then you come to another uncompleted burial chamber. And then you follow it through the ground gallery up to Cheops' burial chamber. 10 meters long, 5 meters high. 5 meters also, yeah, also 5, 10 meters long, 5 and 5. How were they built? No, the Mokattam hills, the quarrying, the stones, the bringing there, the ramps up and so on, and 100,000 people. We took the bedrock where we wanted to build the thing. Then we put mud at the outside and filled the thing with water. And when we got there, I assume with a stick, and we measured that it was everywhere exactly, let's say 10 centimeters deep. And that it was basically the plan. So we went there and made then the ground deep, that it was exactly 10 centimeters deep. We were chopping off that stone, that it is 10 centimeters deep at that place. We're going to the next place, and so on. We made all the trenches in. And when you at that place, it's 10 centimeters deep. Then we made the water away and dug all the protruding from the stones back to this exactly the form that the trenches were. Because the water is flat, and you could just have to measure how deep is the stone. Now you have it exactly flat. When we're putting these stones there, these 2.3 million iceberg Cheops, and we're weighing 2.5 tons, and they're 1 cubic meter every time. We put it there, and they just built it on top. And that Cheops has an elevation of 52 degrees. And why did we build them? There's an idea that it gave many workers work to do. The Nile has seasons where the Nile is going over there's a big river going from the Central Africa up then through Egypt and out. And where it goes through Egypt, the big Nile river can flood. And when it's flood, it takes a lot of sediments, a lot of things with it. It makes the ground good growing, I think, the agriculture. But during that season, no one can work there. The farmers cannot work there. So it was an opportunity to give the people work during the time. That is one idea. Another idea is also it gave the people a feeling of nationhood and something great to build. And I think that is all according. No, another thing is also there was the Ben-Ben, and the Ben-Ben was an Egyptian thinking that it had the form of a pyramid, that it was a symbol of a sun god, and also the Sphinx with the head of Chephren, the lion thing. That was carved into solid rock. That were not rocks from the Mokattam, it's like the pyramid. That was into solid rocks. That was also adorned as a sun god. Maybe that was the reason. And that is according to, Grigson's Wonders of the World book on the pages 18, 19, 20 and 20. if you click this video away, then please tell me what the reason for it was so that I can improve. Otherwise, I know I can. I'm trying to learn Egyptology today, the pyramids of Giza, and after we've done with it, we're gonna do wrist training. And if you participate in the wrist training, then it's at your own risk. This is the second part, and I still don't know how Giza is pronounced. In the center of a great pyramid lies Cheops' burial chamber. Built of granite, it measures 34 by 17 feet, so 10 times 5 meters, and is 6 meters high. So the biggest one of the pyramids of Giza, the frieze, is the Cheops pyramid, and inside of it there is the burial chamber, which is 10 times 5 meters times 6 meters big. The king's granite sarcophagus still lies in the room's west side. From the entrance on the north face of the pyramid, a corridor descends into the foundation rock, leading to an uncompleted burial chamber. So on the north face of the pyramid, there's an entrance. And the corridor descends into the foundation rock, leading to an uncompleted burial chamber. About 20 meters from the entrance, the original corridor connected with a second corridor, which descends for about 40 meters, before leveling off and leading to a second uncompleted tomb chamber. So 20 meters from the entrance, the original corridor connected with a second corridor, which ascends 40 meters, before leveling off and leading to a second uncompleted tomb chamber. This continues into a wide ascending passage called the Grand Gallery, at the top of which is the king's burial chamber. So it ascends then through the Grand Gallery to the king's burial chamber. Cheops' pyramid is surrounded by rows of low, flat tombs called mastabas and 3 small pyramids in which his family and high officials were buried. So around the pyramid, at the ground, there are smaller tombs, flat ones, they are called mastabas, and also 3 smaller pyramids, and I can't find the line. Pyramids in which his family and high officials were buried. By the south wall is an underground chamber, discovered in 1954, which contained Cheops' funeral ship, untouched since being placed there 4,600 years ago. So it means it was probably brought over the river Nile to the pyramid, and that ship was found. The second Giza pyramid, the Pyramid of Chephren, lies to the southwest of the Great Pyramid. So it's just next to it, it's the southwest. There no southwest is. Of the Great Pyramid, it is only slightly smaller, 140 meters high. The other one was, the Cheops was 150 meters high. And it has 216 meters square, with a slightly steeper angle of elevation. So the square on the ground is a little less, it has a little less place on the ground, but it is almost the same height, so it's a little steeper. The top quarter of this pyramid has its original white limestone facing, under Cheops' pyramid, which has been completely stripped of its facing. So one of the 3, I think the one in the middle, still has the limestone facing at the top. The other ones, they don't have what we look like, they had an outer layer out of limestone. The Pyramid of Mycenos, the third one, the third and smallest Giza pyramid, lies southwest of Chephren. It is 350 bore, so 108 meters square and 17 meters high, and contains less than a tenth of the limestone built into each of the other 2 pyramids. So just a tenth of the many stones I know, because it's just 70 meters high. It was facing in pink granite and limestone. So pink granite and limestone. Apart from its pyramids, the most famous feature of Giza is the Sphinx, carved out of living rock in the form of a human-headed lion. So the rock was previously there of a Sphinx. They didn't brought it there. There was that big rock, and then they carved it in, like the Monument Valley, not the Monument Valley. But it's also extremely natural, but it is through wind and rain and river. The other thing with the 4 president heads in it. It's a monument rock. Whatever. The thing with the 4 heads of the presidents in it. It's also carved in. So it's standing there and then it's carved in. And the Sphinx was standing there. There was a big mountain. The people said, let's make a Sphinx. A portrait of Chephren, it was later worshipped as a sun god. The Sphinx. So the Sphinx is a portrait of Chephren. And it's a human-headed. The thing is a lion. It is a lion with the head of a human, and that head is made after the head which Chephren had. And then the whole Sphinx was adorned as a sun god. This colossus, 20 meters high and 70 meters long, guards the causeway which leads to the pyramid of Chephren. It guards the causeway. I don't know what a causeway is. The evolution of the pyramid form is probably connected with early Egyptian sun worship. A pyramidal stone, the benben, symbolized the sun god, its slanting sides representing the sun's rays. So the pyramid itself may simply have been an enlarged form of this symbol. At certain times, especially when afternoon clouds form in winter, the sun's rays break through at exactly the angle of the sides of the Giza pyramids. Break through at exactly the angle of the sides, But they have different angles, they have different sides. What do they mean? No, they mean around it, in winter. Egypt is around 3,000 kilometers north of the equator. At certain times, especially when afternoon clouds form in winter, the sun's rays break through at exactly the angle of the sides of it. Do they come not at the sides, or do they come through them, or do they have the same angle as the sides? But that doesn't make sense because of the varying steepness of the pyramids. Whatever. It is easy to see why the Egyptians regarded the pyramid as a staircase to heaven being laid to the king. But they were flat with limestone. They hadn't had staircase. The 5 largest pyramids, including the Giza pyramids, seem to have been built in a single century and at an early stage of Egyptian history. They were much larger than subsequent pyramids, and one interesting explanation of this puzzle is that the early pyramids were undertaken less for their entry site than as a scheme of public works. They were much larger, not they. They were. So these 5, built in 1 century at the beginning of the Egyptian time, are the largest one. And they are the largest one because one explanation is to have a scheme of public work. This would have had the double advantage of employing thousands of peasants during the slack season, when the yearly Nile flood made farming impossible, as well as involving them in a great collective project to develop a sense of nationhood. So there would be also some economic and sociological reasons to build it. The famous pyramids of Giza still stand as a monument to the great civilizations of the Egyptian pharaohs many centuries ago. Built to contain and conceal the tombs and treasures of the pharaohs Cheops, Chephren, and Mycenius, the pyramids are masterpieces of geometrical precision. They are simple, clean lines, devoid of any decorative features, have any impressive and haunting beauty. Seen from the south, the pyramid of Mykonos, the left one, flanked by the smaller pyramids of flanked by the smaller pyramids of his three queens, is overshadowed by the much larger pyramids of Chevron center with its distinctive surviving cap of limestone and the Great Pyramid of Cheops right. So that is the Cheops one, that is the Chevron, and there's no Cheops. The Olympian Zeus. We're going to stay by Egyptology. If you were here for Egyptology, you can go directly to the next part of Egyptology, where we're going to read the whole text again and we try to memorize the things said in it, so that we can, at the end, make a presentation about the three big pyramids of Giza. If you stay here and participate in the wrist training, then it's at your own risk. Go and stay with stance, hands next to the body and bring them down the spotlight. Now we're having three rules. The first rule is that we're stopping immediately as soon as there's pain. Next exercise, a flashlight for the inside and outside. The second rule is that we are going only as far as we can go with a little bit of effort. Now flat hands and them to the inside and outside, the magician. And the third rule is that we're not overdoing it. We just want to strengthen, not to exhaust. And now the pancake flipper, flat hands, up. And we have a lot of exercises. You can take a break whenever you want. Hands out, flat hands, and down the T-Rex in the morning. And the quadrangular castle architect fists, and to the inside, up, to the outside, down, inside, and back, down, outside, up, inside. And now, let's do that for the T-Rex in the gym. The tennis ball, press onto the tennis ball or whatever, or make just a strong fist, release and press, release and press. Other hand, press, release, press, press. Please. And now the crab anxious to have fever. Fist, down deflection, press on the inside. Outside. Top. Bottom. Upper side, fist, down deflection, press on the side. Upper side. Top. And bottom. And now one, the cautious big bang, fingertips on the right hand. Open slowly and close slowly. Open and close. Change. Open and close. Another time. And the neurosynthesis field this is neurosynthesis direct. Fists, open and close, and spread them, flare them. And now hands up, down, with deflection of fists, down and up. Turn around, down, all the time with flexion with fists. You can do this exercise way slower, most of the time. Down and down and up. The best squat bridge. Flat hands, bend them at the knuckles, up, bend at the knuckles, up. You can take a break. The frog, testing water temperature. Down the flat fingers, up strong fists. Down flat fingers, up strong fists. One more time. And now the claw. Make claws and try to bring the fingers apart, so spread the fingers. Flare them. Up and flare. One more time. Up and flare. And the arms in with strong fists. Down, long arms, flat fingers extension. In, flexion, strong fists. Out, flat fingers extension. Again in. And now. One hand, the ice axe, one hand, bend it at the knuckles and press on all four. Other hand, bend it at the knuckles, press on all four. And long arms, strong fists, and the fists into flexion, and out extension. And again in, and out extension. Again in, and out. Again in. And we're ending with the floor. Go with moderate pressure over the middle part of the floor. Up. And on the other side. And that was the wrist training. I thank you very much, and until next time.